Welcome back to our special coverage, Debate Night in America. This Georgia race matters. Social media may not be reality, but they were focused on the right thing tonight. There's a lot of trending interest in what happened on the debate stage between Herschel Walker and with Raphael Warnock, the sitting senator currently in Georgia, and for good reason. The outcome of that race may determine who controls the Senate, and voting starts Monday. And let me tell you something, in voting, recency to when you're going to vote and what you heard last and how you felt last is powerful. And that's why instead of some quick polls from people you don't know who it was, you don't know how the sample is done, I wanted to do a watch party. And we have one in Atlanta, and it's a group of a couple of dozen people, a lot of diversity in the audience in terms of ideas, beliefs, and identity, to let you judge person to person why they felt the way they did and see how that lines up with you. Now, we were talking to a mayor of the sister city to Atlanta, and he was just saying that he was happy that he had come to the watch party, and I rudely cut him off, but only so that he could hear from Herschel Walker again under the examination of Leland Vittert. Now, Mr. Mayor, after everything you got to observe, including the interview, how do you feel about who's the right man for Georgia?
It makes me happy that I'm a member of the Working Families Party. I was actually a little disappointed by both candidates. But I am the mayor of Atlanta's Twin City, South Fulton. And, you know, too often in our politics, we're divided, we're segregated in our political corners. So many of these debate parties I've attended, I'm surrounded by people who agree with me. We're all clapping at the same things. But to be in this diverse audience and see people clapping at things that I absolutely would not clap at, it really sparks some courageous conversations. And I think that I talk about this all the time in our city council meetings. Even at the city council level, people tend to just only talk with people with whom they agree. And so these kinds of courageous conversations that we're having tonight, I would love to see them happen, you know, not just at debate watch parties. But I would say that I wish that there were going to be more debates with these candidates, because I think that they both could sharpen their messages a bit more.
But if you had to vote, like let's say Monday, when early voting starts, Working Families Party is usually closely aligned with the Democratic Party. Is Raphael Warnock deserving of your vote after tonight?
I would vote for Raphael Warnock. I don't think he's quite earned my. There were times where I honestly did feel he was not as candid as I wanted him to be, and not as strong as I wanted him to be speaking on issues with working families. I don't think you need to run from if you're voting with Biden, don't run from that.
Yeah.
If you think that we need more opportunities, don't run from that. Hearing his answer about his church's evicting people, it made me a little queasy.
All right. Mr. Mayor, I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Stick with News Nation, because those are exactly kinds of conversations we're going to have, certainly on my show, where it's all about talking to who you may or may not agree with, but doing it with decency. All right. Next person, I believe, is Sharon. The mayor is with the Working Families Party. That puts him to the left of the political spectrum. Sharon, where are you?
Hello, I'm Sharon. And I am not with anybody's working party except my own, thank you very much. I feel like I've earned the right to say that I'm a worker because I have 5 adult children and 12 grandchildren. I think that very powerfully impacts my position on being pro-life. I would like to help people understand that the Georgia bill that is protecting life, the 6-week bill, if anyone really read it, they would see that the exceptions for rape and incest are included in that bill. And therefore, I would encourage anyone that wants to come out and opine on these subjects to be informed first. Thank you.
Well, hold on. I want to ask you something. And just to clarify, the Georgia heartbeat bill, I know that Sharon can't hear me, but if you could just look at it online, it's up to 20 weeks, not just 6, that has rape and incest exceptions, and also for the health of the mother. But of course, if you're in favor of reproductive rights and choice for women, you still see it as severely limiting. Let me ask you, Sharon, what did it mean to you to hear Herschel Walker's answers about the allegations made against him and what he did in his personal life with respect to abortion, as opposed to what he is now saying politically?
I feel that what is grossly unfair is when people will edit for themselves, or let someone else edit for them what they've said or what their life has been about, because Herschel Walker has been extremely transparent. I never had any doubts about the fact that he had skeletons in his closet. It troubles me and disappoints me that when people see the ads, they think that it's the Herschel Walker that is there today, and I disagree with that. And I think to picture him in that same light and to try to portray him in that same light is grossly unfair to all the people that are willing to go and get help when they have mental issues.
Sharon, I appreciate it. Very nuanced look at it. You put a couple of different factors together there. Appreciate you. I'm going to come back to you guys. I want to bring in somebody who's absolutely a stakeholder in this conversation. Dave Bossy, who's been holding on for me patiently, and I appreciate him. You'll know him from his work with Citizens United, but he is a well-known member of the true conservative movement, and it's good to have him with me. It's good to see you, Dave.
Hey, thanks for having me, my friend. I appreciate you having me on tonight.
I appreciate you, and thanks for your patience. I know, dinner's on me. Now, let me ask you, did Herschel Walker pass the test tonight?
Oh, he not only passed the test, he crushed Raphael Warnock. Look, the guy who you were just interviewing, that mayor, heard things from Senator Warnock that he did not like. Somebody who, as you said, is to the left of our political spectrum, did not like that. And I think there's going to be a lot of erosion amongst Warnock's base based on things he said this evening. And I got to tell you, Herschel Walker making it about Joe Biden, making it about Raphael Warnock and Raphael Warnock's vote, 96% of the time, he made that very clear. He said that without Warnock's vote, you would not have the crime problem, the inflation problem, our economic problems, our open border problems, the fentanyl problems. He brought every single problem that Georgians face to Warnock's feet with his vote 96% of the time for Biden's administration. So I got to tell you, Herschel Walker, he won the gold medal tonight.
Well, look, certainly in the state of Georgia, it is tricky for Warnock, right? He's the first Democratic senator in 20 years. And yes, Biden won it, but it was by 12,000 votes. And that was a surprise to many. So certainly it's the right play. The question becomes, is Walker the right guy? I guess for you, he has to be, because you don't have any other choice. But wouldn't you have preferred he say, yeah, the law enforcement thing, I shouldn't have said it, instead of holding up that toy badge, which you and I could get with a donation to any local police department? You know what I mean? Wouldn't that have been better?
No. Well, let me just say this, Chris. If Raphael Warnock, for 1 minute of the last 2 years, had spent any time supporting the men and women in blue, had supported the police officers who are getting killed every single day on the streets across Georgia, being attacked, being abused, being disrespected. The defund the police movement is on the back of the Democrat Party. They own it lock, stock, and barrel. There's no question about it. It's their issue. They believe in defunding the police and cashless bail, and Senator Warnock is part of that. And Herschel Walker owes no one an apology for supporting the men and women in uniform every single day with his actions and deeds and donations.
He said he was a member of law enforcement and suggested he was a member of the FBI. That's a little bit more than supporting. You support them. You're not saying that you can pull me over for speeding, right?
Yeah, I don't think he said that actually. So, Chris,
that's
he
what he said.
never said
More than
that
once.
He never said that he was
and
a
he
member.
held out a badge tonight.
No.
As
He never
if
said
it
he was a
meant that
member of the
was with law
FBI.
enforcement. Come on.
That's because Raphael Warnock lies to the people on television. Look, the mayor you just interviewed didn't like a lot of the answers that Senator Warnock gave. You're going to see erosion. Look, this is a dead heat. This is within the margin of error. Every single poll that I trust is within the margin of error. Somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose. But you know what no one's talking about? No one's talking about Governor Kemp crushing.
Yeah, he's up 8 or 10. I mean, that was one of the questions, is why isn't Walker running as strong as Kemp? We've been talking about it a lot tonight. I hear you about it. And look, Kemp should be running strong in Georgia, given what his position is and where the state is. I gotta get to a break, but first of all, I appreciate your analysis.
And that's going to help Herschel Walker.
Well,
but that's going to help Herschel Walker cross the finish line. I got to tell you,
it should have helped him before.
It's not should
now.
have. It's going to.
That's one of the questions: is why is there a disparity?
People are still learning. You heard that but you heard tonight in some of the folks you talked to, people are still learning about Herschel Walker. People don't know about him. They know about Raphael Warnock. They know he votes with Joe Biden 96% of the time.
He's a
that
Democrat.
He's responsible for crime and inflation and all the issues.
But
that's right.
I'm just saying,
and I got to
as
tell
the
you,
audience should know,
the American people, the people of Georgia,
Dave, people vote with their party's president overwhelmingly, over 95% of the time, all the time. But I get the argument, and it's a good one to make in Georgia. Of course, Warnock did win the seat, so there is a possibility he changed the map a little bit, but this was their first chance to get both men side by side, and the voting starts Monday. I appreciate your passion and your perspective, and I look forward to speaking to you again, and thank you for staying late.
Looking forward to it.
Dave Bossy, be well. Appreciate you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.